Okay, truth bomb time. I honestly didn't think Vivo would be the first smartphone brand in the world to actually showcase a phone with an in-display fingerprint scanner. That feat in itself deserves an applause of its own. Now, the Vivo X21 without the UD suffix has launched in India finally, and I'm glad that Mr. Phone got an opportunity to actually test it out before the launch. So what are we waiting for? I am Ershad from Mr. Phone, and let's get down to my full review of the Vivo X21. Hey, stop it right there. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get notified for more such awesome tech videos before we start this review. So since the in-display fingerprint sensor on the Vivo X21 is the most important feature of the phone, let's talk about it a little bit first. So how does this technology actually work? Essentially, a sensor just like your camera sensor sits 0.68mm below the display substrate. So the moment you press the designated area to register your fingerprint, the sensor captures reflections of your fingerprints through the OLED pixels, and that is how it can actually recognize your fingerprints. So does Vivo make these in-display fingerprint sensors? No, actually the under-display fingerprint sensors are made by this company called Synaptics. It has a module called Synaptics FS9500 Clear ID, which is used under the display. The most important question that might be on your mind is how long does it take to actually unlock the phone using an in-display fingerprint sensor? Well, in my experience, it takes a little bit about 0.7 to 0.8 seconds to unlock the phone, which is definitely not as fast as Apple's Touch ID or any other physical fingerprint sensor for that matter. But hey, this is first generation tech we're talking about. Touch ID wasn't as fast as it is today as it was on the iPhone 5s, was it? So, can the entire display turn into a fingerprint sensor? Interestingly, yes. Vivo actually has a concept phone called the Apex, which uses the entire bottom half of the phone to register your fingerprints. In fact, that phone is actually going to be in commercial production soon and will launch as the next later this year sometime. But the thing that you have to note about using the entire display as a fingerprint sensor is that that tech is not going to be cheap. It's going to be a little more expensive. So does the in-display fingerprint sensor work underwater? Yes, it can work underwater, but the Vivo X21 is not waterproof, so don't try that at home. Does the in-display fingerprint sensor work with the screen guard on? Yes, it does work with the screen guard on, and in fact the Vivo X21 comes with a pre-applied screen guard, and I tested it out and it worked just fine. Can you use the fingerprint sensor to lock any app so as to protect your privacy? Yes, you can do that. Check this out. Moving on, setting up the fingerprint takes longer than physical sensors. When the setup process asks you to hold the edges of the finger, ensure that you try different angles. Also, it is really vital that you keep your fingers clean during the detection process. Follow these steps diligently and the scanner will have a much lower fail rate. I learned it the hard way. Moreover, you really need to press deeply for the sensor to identify your prints. Thankfully, the phone vibrates if the fingerprint is not registered, and therefore you don't have to second guess. Also, you get 3 different types of fingerprint unlock animations that you can choose from. If you do struggle with the in-display fingerprint sensor, you can opt for face unlock instead. And Vivo uses an infrared based sensor for unlocking the phone. This is cool because it unlocks really fast, almost as fast as the OnePlus 6, and it feels secure too. Moving on, at the moment, in-display fingerprint scanners play nicely only with AMOLED tech, and I'm not really complaining because the 6.28-inch 19:9 aspect ratio panel is actually bright, colorful, and crisp for most scenarios. It is a full HD panel. In fact, the blacks are so deep that the always-on display looks as impressive as Samsung's flagship Galaxy S9. Don't get me wrong though, Samsung's displays are still the best in the business. No beating that. Moreover, in bright light, you can actually see the embedded sensor very clearly when you crank up the brightness. I don't necessarily think of it as a distraction, but I hope that display tech improves in the future to eliminate this issue. All in all, the display on the X21 is where all the action happens, and the in-display fingerprint sensor is actually magical, for nerds like me at least. Having said that, it is not as fast and it needs a lot of refinement as well. As far as the design of the Vivo X21 is concerned, it looks nearly identical to the Vivo V9. However, there are subtle changes that make a whole world of difference, both negatively and positively. Firstly, the X21 is actually made of glass and not plastic, therefore it adds a bit of heft, making it easier to hold despite the slimmer 7.4mm profile. The most annoying thing about the design is the fact that Vivo is persisting with a micro USB port instead of a Type-C one. Thanks to the use of glass, the phone is slippery, but the black variant sent to Mr. Phone was not as big of a smudge magnet as I expected it to be. That's a good thing. Vivo also bundles a really good looking case inside the box, one that needs no replacement. The minimalistic rear of the phone sans the fingerprint reader makes it pretty attractive. Also interestingly, Vivo has put the SIM card tray at the bottom edge. This hybrid tray accepts 2 nano SIM cards and you can swap out one SIM card for a micro SD card if you wish. To sum up the design of the Vivo X21, it is the shinier, glossier, sparklier twin of the Vivo V9. And it is bound to get all the attention. Like the V9, the X21 also runs FunTouch OS 4.0 on top of Android 8.1. Yep, it is still a copy of iOS, and I've spoken about it in length about what I like, what I don't like in my V9 review, which should be up in a card somewhere over here. That said, I have one very important gripe with the phone. Vivo software engineers still haven't found a way to solve how content will play on the notch with navigation gestures on. So what happens is, when you decide to use navigation gestures, a bar remains like a sticky at the bottom and you cannot hide the notch. How annoying is that? Therefore, despite the presence of navigation gestures, I had to use the navigation keys instead. Please fix this soon, Vivo. Also, one software feature that is different compared to the V9 is the always on display settings. You can change the style of the clock to analog or digital, and you can also showcase phone call or messages notification on your screen. Here's an interesting thing though, the Vivo X21 is one of the very few phones that supports Android P Beta Developer Edition. It's actually a part of Google's partner program. Now, I haven't tested this out on the Vivo X21 yet. We'll do that soon and let you know in a later video sometime. The X21 comes with 2 cameras on the rear. One is a 12 megapixel primary sensor and the other is a 5MP depth sensing sensor. Also, the new 12 megapixel sensor has a pixel size of 1.44 microns. This means that you can expect good details from the X21. And you know what? To some extent, it actually delivers. I managed to shoot some good looking shots in ideal lighting conditions. You will see extremely punchy colors that look good on any display. Obviously, the color accuracy is not ideal, but a lot of folks will like this look. The problem with the camera is actually the focusing speeds, which is weird because Vivo actually claims faster focusing speeds, but I had to stay stable to get a shot without a blur most of the times. That apart, I really like the new 12 megapixel camera on the rear because it takes good HDR shots as well. The portrait mode on the X21 lets you adjust the focal length before shooting and after shooting too. According to me, the sweet spot for getting a good shot is f/4, which is the default setting anyway. The low light shots are not bad either, but definitely not the best in class. The software algorithm works overtime to reduce the noise, and as a result ends up smudging a lot of the details. But this is the case with a lot of mid-range phones and therefore one cannot complain. The camera can also capture 4K video, but my test sample had a weird pink tint, and since there is no EIS for 4K videos, it was pretty shaky too. On the contrary, the quality of the 1080p video was pretty good with good details across the board. You also get EIS out of the box for 1080p footage, and that's definitely an advantage. Things get interesting when you move to the front camera. The front-facing camera also uses the same 12 megapixel sensor as the rear camera. While it does take good selfies, the problem is that even without beauty mode on, it makes my face look fairer than usual. A lot of folks might like this, but I'm not a fan. Oh, and before I forget, you get AI-based stickers on the phone which can be used to make some fun selfies. I like these stickers. They look as good as Snapchat stickers. The X21's internal kit comprises of a solid combination of hardware which includes a Qualcomm Snapdragon 660 SoC, 6 gigs of RAM and 128 GB of internal storage, which is further expandable up to 256 GB using a micro SD card. While the 660 is a super mid-range chip, it is very powerful as we've learned from the Nokia 7 Plus, which we reviewed sometime before. In fact, apart from the 660, the rest of the specs are flagship grade. In my time with the phone, I didn't face a single slowdown, and the X21 is an extremely responsive phone. One way to test the phone's performance prowess is to scroll through Facebook feed in the official app. No, I'm not kidding. The app is so poorly coded that low-end chips actually struggle to keep with the scrolling speed. The X21 has no problems whatsoever. And as far as gaming is concerned, I played Guns of Boom, Shadowgun Legends and PUBG, all of which are graphically intensive games. All the games ran smoothly without any frame drops. While PUBG chooses the medium graphics setting by default, I pushed it to high and still didn't face any problem. The phone doesn't heat up while gaming either. Moving on to the audio quality, the X21 includes a hi-fi DAC. I really don't know what model of hi-fi DAC, but in my testing I found out that it could power my one more triple driver with ease. In fact, the sound was pretty clean without any artifacts as such. However, the single downward firing mono speaker doesn't get very loud, and the sound gets muffled easily when it is covered by your palm. As far as the call quality is concerned, I'm extremely impressed by the X21. I got a stable Airtel network with crystal clear calls even in high congestion areas. Furthermore, I didn't face any call drops either. Also, the phone app lets you record calls, which could come in handy for a lot of folks. For those wondering, the X21 has support for dual VoLTE as well. Powering all this is a 3200 mAh battery with support for fast charging. Vivo calls it dual engine quick charge, and boy is it fast. I can't believe that it is as fast as OnePlus's Dash Charge. Additionally, Surprisingly, I got an average screen on time of around 5 hours and 20 minutes, which is not bad, but not great either. Basically, you can expect a day's worth of usage from the phone and charge it within an hour and a half. One missed opportunity is that despite having a glass body, the Vivo X21 doesn't come with wireless charging. So for my final verdict, I'm in a different shirt. That's primarily because I was actually at the event and I'm coming right from the event to shoot the verdict for you guys. So should you buy the Vivo X21? Well, if you ask me, the Vivo X21 is definitely only made for early adopters, one who are really keen on the in-display fingerprint scanner. In fact, when I asked my friends and family about the in-display fingerprint scanner, they were mostly indifferent, primarily because they don't understand the technology. But I have to tell you this, the fingerprint sensor inside the Vivo X21 is a very big advancement in the field of mobile technology. But is the Vivo X21 worth rupees 35,990? I don't know. I mean, I cannot recommend this phone over the OnePlus 6, which is currently the best buy in this price range. That said, the X21 is a great first attempt at showcasing a technology that no other brand has managed yet. Kudos, Vivo. So I hope you guys liked our review of the Vivo X21. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see such awesome tech content. Until next time, this is Ershad signing off. Tata.